I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain Interviews with Keegan Vogel, co-founder of Neptune Finance, here to talk about DeFi, Injective ecosystem, IBC, and more. Keegan, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Ashton. Happy to be here.
Likewise, I'm super fascinated about DeFi and learning more about the intricacies of how to take advantage of decentralized finance. Neptune is doing something different on the Injective ecosystem, and you guys are growing rapidly. I'm excited to hear more about it today, and I would love to start off our conversation if you could give a high-level overview on what exactly the team has built at Neptune Finance, how it relates to furthering yourself in DeFi, and then we can dive into all the details.
Sure. So as a high-level overview, Neptune Finance is a DeFi money market, which essentially allows people to lend tokens to earn a yield and then other people to borrow tokens so that they can use them for any activities that they choose to. And there's a few models that do this across the DeFi ecosystems. It's definitely one of the DeFi primitives. You need your exchange and you need your credit and leverage as well. So Neptune fulfills that facility on the Injective blockchain and to a greater extent the Cosmos and EVM ecosystems as well. Mm-hmm. And what makes Neptune special is, although we're a money market, we've brought in a lot of new innovations that makes our interest rates more competitive, more dynamic. So therefore, our rates are definitely far more competitive, and a lot of functionality that makes it better and easier for the user to create options when creating margin and to kind of mitigate and hedge risks as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great intro. And I'm curious on what do you think makes a good DeFi protocol or a good credit protocol? You mentioned there the interest rates are competitive. Obviously, that helps save funds if you're borrowing, but there's also different assets, different blockchains. What do you think are the deciding factors of which protocol someone's going to use to borrow capital when there starts to become a lot of DeFi protocols to choose from?
The fundamental, definitely first, has got to be the interest rates. And that's where our biggest innovation has come in as Neptune Finance. Usually with a money market, interest rates are measured against a fixed curve. So it's a measure of the utilization. So basically, if you have $1 million worth of like a stablecoin USDC, and it's got a 70% utilization rate across the kind of x-axis of the curve, then you can look at the fixed curve and find the borrow rate for that asset. What Neptune does differently is, because it's doubly dynamic, it reshapes that interest rate curve to make it more competitive. So if Neptune is off its ideal utilization target, it'll reshape the curve to make it more or less competitive to lend or borrow. So in effect, what that has done has made us highly competitive in our lending rates, especially for stables, which is definitely the biggest driver for a lot of money markets, is where can you get the best rate on a stablecoin. Mm-hmm. So on average for us, we have a 14% 30-day average for lending stablecoins on Neptune Finance, which is about at least 3 times as much on the bigger money markets. This is what you could get on a return. So that's one of the key aspects that users look for when they're coming to Neptune, is like, what kind of rate can I get? And this is all organic as well. There's no incentives or anything on top of these rates. So it's just the market and supply and demand driving these rates. Mm-hmm. That's definitely the key aspect. And then outside of that, you look at all these other things of how usable is this market? How easy is it for me to use as a user? Does it have the assets that I hold and want to leverage? Is there fragmentation? So always looking at, if you're using a particular token, making sure that it's the native variant and not a wrapped or bridge variant, so that it's fungible across multiple ecosystems. So all these things are very important to a money market.
Mm-hmm. And being on the Injective blockchain technology underlying the protocol, does that change the types of assets that are available? And obviously stablecoins are important, but there's a lot of different types of stablecoins now. So maybe we can touch on that specifically as well.
Yeah, when it comes to what tokens we list, we definitely look for the native variants. So Injective blockchain is EVM compatible, but at its core, a Cosmos blockchain. So it's built on the Cosmos SDK. And part of that means it has IBC built in. This is one of the things that we really like about the Injective blockchain. So Injective to us is a great infrastructure layer. We are a smart contract-based protocol, and Injective does the job incredibly well of giving us the infrastructure we need to operate without having to worry about our own infrastructure. So Injective provides all the bridging accessibility, the fast blockchains, the extremely cheap gas, the high uptimes and reliability. And with all that, we can focus with the Injective team, because they have an incredibly good order book decks, what tokens they list and what liquidity is available. And that's when we partner with them, and then we pick the tokens that we want to list in Neptune based on what's available there. So to some users, we may be slow in listing tokens, but that's because we're making sure those tokens have reliable oracles. They have good liquidity in the local market. They have demand from the users, and that they are a native variant as well, meaning you can borrow it from Neptune and you can take it to any chain and you're not going to have any other problems.
So with taking assets to other chains or borrowing different assets that are on different blockchains, you mentioned about the IBC technology, which is from Cosmos, the interblockchain communication protocol. So does that enable further access to, for example, Atom or Osmosis or other blockchain coins, and what is the limit on how far you can go, to extending to further assets that are, on the top of the coin market list?
IBC is a great piece of technology in the blockchain stack, and it's being highly adopted, and that's still accelerating. So it started with the Cosmos ecosystem, but Solana is now integrated with IBC, and there is EVM compatibilities with IBC as well. It's this two-way handshake standard, which is superior to a lot of bridging tech that I see, because it's non-custodial, meaning it's the two chains talking to each other and there's no middleman in between. And what we really like about that, it means those tokens, wherever they're IBC'd, are going to be fungible as long as they're moving through the right routes to each other. So when we look at IBC tech and the way that we want to expand Neptune, one of our strategies is relying on those IBC pathways and the connections between the blockchains, so that we can use the tokens connected between those blockchains, but also allowing people to access Neptune over IBC standard. So that's one of the things we're working towards in the next year coming up, is unlike other money markets where they see an opportunity on a new chain or a new ecosystem and they redeploy their tech. When they do that, they fragment their technology, they fragment their liquidity, they fragment their users, and now they have this tech debt of having to operate multiple protocols at the same time. It gets very complicated, and it also adds a lot of risks. So with IBC, and on top of that, interchain accounts, Neptune will be expanding across the DeFi ecosystems by keeping Neptune in a central location with Injective, because that's where the infrastructure is best, and using IBC to allow anyone from any IBC compatible chain to interact with Neptune without ever having to leave that chain. And that's the beauty of IBC for us.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and a great reminder that Solana now can interact with the IBC and EVM chains like Ethereum, because there's a lot of people that hold those assets. The market caps are way larger and there's liquidity there. If they can tap into the underlying technology of a faster, more novel blockchain like Injective, using DeFi there, but still have some of the assets that more users are holding, I think that there's a really big advantage there. And now, over the past month, we've obviously seen a huge increase in the Bitcoin price, market volume of crypto assets altogether. I think the TVL and DeFi is starting to kick up as well. How much of that is a factor on the future success of Neptune, where the market's going sideways versus now it's going up? People probably want to start borrowing, speculating more, using DeFi protocols to borrow capital.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time right now with Bitcoin constantly hitting new all-time highs. You're definitely seeing the excitement coming again from the people waiting for the bull market. Neptune's been around for 3 years, definitely building in the background for most of that. We launched back in January, so we've been existing in the sideways market for a while. But our team's history in crypto has been much longer than that, so we've seen these cycles of up and down and sideways. So being again at the start of this bull run, it's very exciting. And what we're noticing is during a sideways cycle, there's typically not a lot to gain in the value of a token moving up or down. So what people are looking for is a return on that token, an interest rate, a yield. And that's what Neptune offers through its lending deposits. So if you're just holding a token, waiting for it to appreciate, you can lend it into Neptune and earn a yield on it. In this current market, what we're seeing is you can track the trends on Neptune, and you're seeing a lot of demand for more credit, because as the value of tokens are going up, people want to get more leverage into that token, more exposure into it. So we're seeing a lot of new borrowing positions being created so that people can take that capital and put it into the tokens they're looking to invest in. And so we're seeing a lot of borrow demand coming into Neptune. And that's good for the lenders as well, because that's driving lending rates as well, which then creates this flywheel of borrow demand goes up, lending interest rates go up, therefore more capital comes into Neptune, and so that more borrow capacity can happen. So right now it's a great flywheel to have.
Definitely. And you know, there's still so many users that haven't really tried DeFi yet. Maybe they're just holding some of these top coins in a decentralized wallet or on another exchange, and they're thinking, hey, how can I start earning a yield on this? So if there's somebody that either they haven't gotten into DeFi yet, or they haven't really gotten into the Injective network yet, what is the easiest way for them to get started? Do they have to have tokens on the Injective network, or can they just have, for example, Solana, as you mentioned, it's connected through the IBC. They can deposit some stablecoin from one of those other chains into the protocol.
So there's many different ways that you can enter the Injective blockchain. So if you already have tokens on any chain or any DeFi ecosystem, there is likely going to be a pathway for you to get into the Injective ecosystem. So the Injective hub, which is the interface for a lot of the Injective functionalities, there is a bridging page there, and you'll be able to see all the options and how you can move your token. So if you're on an EVM or Solana or Cosmos chain or Cardano chain, you will be able to bridge your tokens into Injective. If you've never interacted with DeFi before, but you hold crypto, then maybe it's a time to learn that you can take that crypto into self-custody, take it off an exchange, and then be able to use it for yourself to find an opportunity in DeFi. And there's always a caveat with that everyone should learn as much as they can before they start moving stuff around, be safe. But there is a lot of opportunities in DeFi. So start anywhere, because that's what I did when I got into DeFi. The best part about DeFi is the barrier to entry is extremely low. It's an opportunity for everyone. Doesn't matter if you've got $5 or $5 million. There's going to be, you can get the same yield as the next guy. And that's a great part about it. So if you're wanting to enter Neptune on Injective, then all the tokens we list, we try and be as native as possible. So we have native Atom, you can IBC that across. We have native USDC, so that's an issuance by Noble. So that works with the Circle's CCTP standard, so that can be bridged directly to Injective. We are looking for a Bitcoin variant to list as well. So we're looking at a couple custody opportunities, but also decentralized options for Bitcoin as well. So we're very excited to get that one listed.
That's very cool. I think Bitcoin is an important part of DeFi as it continues to get integrated in there. Whether people think Bitcoin should be in DeFi or not, I think there's a role for it. And you mentioned there about USDC, stablecoin, being able to go through this Noble platform. I think that's great. I think stablecoins is a great first step because there's already more complications in lending and borrowing in DeFi than there is just holding coins in your wallet. And to have less volatility, that's nice to test the waters. And I think stablecoins are an integral part of DeFi. Is there, but there's many other stablecoins and there's also derivatives of stablecoins and stuff. How many different stablecoins are you guys looking at? Is it just USDC, or what are the different options that you can do?
So we're looking at the most highly used stablecoins. So there is a lot of options for stablecoins, especially decentralized stablecoins as well. Ideally, we're looking for the ones that have the most volume, kind of the most demand by the user, but also the most functionality outside of Neptune as well. So that grows organic demand for it. So currently we have USDC and USDT listed. We're looking at a couple other options for stablecoins as well, but ideally we want to make sure the demand is there. And the important aspect of that is stablecoins are the most highly used asset in a money market. So if you look at the assets that are borrowed out of a money market, stablecoins will make up about 80% of that volume. So it is very important for us when looking at stablecoins, making sure that if there's real demand for it and that there's stability for it as well. You know, these are highly backed, highly secured stablecoins that if it were to have a lot of volatility in the market, we can depend on that stablecoin staying on its peg, because that's a big risk. Like Neptune team came from the Terra days. So we saw all the problems when it came to UST and the anchor money market. We learned lessons from that. So we have a lot of focus when it comes to what users want out of our money market and what they need out of a stablecoin as well.
Yeah, that's a great point about different stablecoins and making sure that they have liquidity and that the underlying fundamentals of it are strong. I remember in the Terra days as well, looking at regular stablecoins on DeFi with an APY of 10% or so, and looking at UST at 20% and saying, okay, what is the difference here? You know, how is the percentage so much higher? And I thought it was too good to be true, which turned out to be real, which is good. But what you explained in the beginning about the interest rates, having the curve and, sort of being more transparent about the underlying technology, this is how we're able to offer better rates. I feel like that's an important aspect when you're looking at, the stablecoin return on one protocol to another.
Yeah, that's very true. Like we try and bring a lot of transparency to our protocol. We're developing a lot of advanced analytics for Neptune, which are all going to be public. And the important aspect that you can see on Neptune is you may see like a high yield on a stablecoin. There's some days where USDT or USDC are driving a 20% lending rate. And you compare that to the Anchor protocol, and it's like, that seems too good to be real. But you can see that there is maybe like a 34% borrow rate. And borrowers are happy paying that because they have strategies that outdo the 34%. But because of our dynamic interest rates, that means lenders can benefit off the demand from the borrowers as well. Compared to like the Aave model, you could say the same utilization, but borrowers are only paying about 8%, and then lenders are only getting about 3.5–4%. So that makes Neptune far more efficient, but it also means on average you get much better rates for your stables.
Yeah, that's good to know. And with all these assets in the protocol, you mentioned that there will also be a Neptune token that works inside of Neptune Finance. Can you touch on that and how it creates a sustainable ecosystem? What exactly is the utility within the protocol?
Yes, we're excited to get this token launched, which is coming out this December. And it's an important aspect to the Neptune protocol. It has a few different functions. At first, it's definitely the governance token for the protocol. So when it comes to governance of the Neptune protocol, it has to be taken very seriously because there's a lot of parameters within the protocol that need to be changed or updated based on certain market conditions. And that's not a situation that can be taken lightly. So when it comes to listing new tokens or changing the parameters for certain tokens, that will all go through governance. And it will be the Neptune stakers who will be able to control that ability. Additionally, the other aspects that come to the token is Neptune offers a function which is flash loans, which is not new. It's been around for a while, but it's definitely a DeFi novelty where a flash loan allows a user to borrow a large amount of money, make a trade with it, and then repay that money in the same block that it was executed on the blockchain. So it's basically a zero collateral, zero upfront borrow. So you could borrow $1 million to $10 million at a time and return it without anything up front. The security in blockchain is that because it executes in the same block, it has to be done in that block. In the past, flash loans have been used for malicious intent, where people have used a flash loan to exploit another protocol. So what we've done with the Neptune token is we've added a security layer to flash loans. So if you want to get access to a flash loan, you have to stake tranches of the Neptune token. So 100 Neptune tokens may get you $1,000 worth of flash loan volume. 1,000 tokens may get you 10,000, and so on. So that adds a capital cost to the Neptune token. And it adds security to that function as well. We're also introducing a health boost, the Neptune token as well. So depending on how much Neptune token you have staked in the platform, it'll give you a bit of protection to your borrower positions in the protocol. So this is a benefit for supplying and locking up the token into the protocol to benefit your position. So it adds a bit of security to borrowers as well. So there's a lot of functionality that we're building into the token, and that's just what's there at launch. We're still looking at developing a lot more for it as well.
That's good to know. And I have heard things about flash loans before. I think it's perhaps beyond my scope of DeFi advances to do that with malicious intent. But I think the security protocol on it sounds like it's there for a good reason. So that's and those other utilities sound great as well. I'm looking forward to that in approximately December. What else is on the roadmap potentially for? Obviously, that's a huge milestone in just coming next month for the token launch, and then I'm guessing there'll be many more advancements to the protocol itself to help drive adoption. Is there anything else you want to mention in the roadmap upcoming?
There's a lot in the roadmap upcoming. We did publish the roadmap more than a month ago, and there's a lot that we're working on over the next year, 2025. A couple of things that are worth mentioning is certain updates or improvements to the protocol that will drive more demand and make it easier for the users. So one of the things we are building is called a yield abstraction vault. When you deposit into Neptune as a lender, you are issued a receipt token. We call these N tokens. So if you deposit 100 USDC, you may get back 100 N USDC. And those will compound over time because it's a yield-bearing token. So what we're building with these yield abstraction vaults is we're allowing you to deposit your N tokens, which your N USDC may be earning a 10% yield, and you can redirect that yield into a secondary investment. So it's a lossless investment strategy where you take your $100 worth of capital and you never invest that capital, but you invest the yield of it. So you could dollar cost average into Bitcoin by staking your USDC into that yield abstraction vault. So that gives easy usability and more usability for the users, more options as well. And then additionally, when it comes to greater, more institutional adoptions as well, another thing to point out would be our earn proxies. And what this is we're trying to make it extremely easy for institutions like wallets or centralized exchanges or other DeFi protocols to use Neptune as its yield engine to offer a earn product for the tokens that are available in Neptune. So imagine your MetaMask wallet and you want to offer a yield on USDC. What you can do is offer the 10% yield that Neptune has to your users, and then you could take a cut as the middleman. So you give 9% to the users, you're the wallet, you take a 1%, you're an exchange, you take the 1%. But you've made it very easy for your users because they never had to leave their wallet and they're earning a yield. And what that wallet has done is use the Neptune earn proxy to connect and send those tokens to Neptune and then custody them for their users as well. So we're trying to upgrade our tech to make that as easy as possible for all these institutions. And that's definitely a big part of our growth plan.
Yeah, that sounds like a great strategy for more relationships with wallets and B2B that I think, there's a lot of people that they want to earn a yield, but they want it to be as easy as possible. If they already have it in some kind of wallet that they're used to, doing a one click that partners in to Neptune, that sounds really advantageous. So I'm looking forward to checking that out when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one too.
And what is the best way to follow along with the launch of the token? And then as these roadmap pieces come into fruition, is it on the socials or on the protocol itself? How can you stay involved to make sure that you don't miss the launch of the token, for example?
All of our updates come through both our Twitter and our Discord as well. So both are very active. We have a Telegram channel for announcements as well, and everything gets announcements at the same time. We publish a lot of Medium articles when it comes to explaining our tech and doing a lot of insights for Neptune. So you can follow our Medium and you'll be able to get those linked from our Twitter as well. And then once our token is live, our governance will be very active. So we'll have a space where people can participate in governance, suggest ideas, and collaborate on certain proposals. So there's many different ways that you can get involved.
Very cool. I can leave those links in the show notes for the socials and the platform. And there's one other thing I wanted to mention, because I was looking in through Neptune, and I know that you guys also have a validator on Injective. Are there any benefits through the governance or elsewise to participate in through the validation of the Injective network?
Yeah, the reason we started a validator on the Injective network is because we wanted to have a say and participate at the chain level, because we very much use a lot of the functions of the chain, and we're now a core protocol of the chain as well. So having a voice definitely makes it easier for us when we want to propose certain improvements or reject certain improvements that would hurt the chain. So we're very happy to have an active validator there. And with our token upcoming in December, there's a few different ways that people were able to be eligible for an airdrop. And you can still do that by staking to a validator. So you can be eligible for that airdrop. Going forward, we want to also expand what our validator gives us access to for users. So part of it, the analytics that we're releasing on Neptune, if you're a staker or a staker of the Neptune validator, then you'll be able to get access to those advanced analytics on the Neptune protocol.
Very cool. Yeah, I did stake some, so I wanted to mention that, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about how the stakers can get involved, because if you have Injective, you might as well put it there, because you're otherwise you're not earning any yield on that as well. So I will leave all the links to that stuff and the socials, the platform in the show notes below. I appreciate your insights into DeFi, the curve, interest rates, how to be competitive, what makes a good DeFi protocol. I'm wishing you and your team all the best at Neptune Finance, and let's definitely follow up in the near future, Keegan.
Great. Thanks very much, Ashton. This has been good. Thanks for all the questions. Appreciate it.